Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Haydn Halsted, your favorite Spokane realtor, and today we're going to talk about the different sectors, bigger, broader locations of Spokane, so you know which location you should be moving to. A lot of the people that reach out to me wonder, Haydn, where should I be moving to in Spokane? Should it be Liberty Lake? Should it be Deer Park? All these things. And so we're going to take a look at the bigger, larger sections of Spokane County. I'll kind of tell you what's there, what are the home prices, which of my clients are deciding to move there based off of their needs, and then hopefully that will help you with your search. When you're on my website looking at homes, you're going to say, all right, I'm going to stick to this one area so that I don't have to be looking at all 1,000 homes that are on the market, because I know that this area is more likely to work for me. And if you are one of those people that are looking to buy or sell real estate here in the Spokane, Washington area, if you're moving here, you already live here, reach out to me. I have a Calendly link down below in the description that you can schedule a call directly on my calendar. Or if you're here already, let's go grab a cup of coffee and then get the conversation started that way. All right, let's jump into the video and see what's going on here in Spokane. So as you can see, you've kind of broken Spokane out into, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little sectors here. And there's more to it, but this is kind of the breakdown I see most people. Because definitely I've shown homes out in Tum Tum and Long Lake and been all the way out this way. And I've been as far north as, I literally have a listing all the way up here in Kettle Falls right now, but I've shown homes up in Chewelah. That's usually about as far as I generally will go for a showing. But this is kind of right around Spokane, where people are living. There's also plenty of people that live down here on the Palouse, as we call it, as well. We're going to start over here. This pink area that I have was what I call the West Plains. It's not even what I call it. It's just what it is called. It's called the West Plains of Spokane. And so this incorporates, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, your Cheney, Washington, Medical Lake, Airway Heights, and then if you're really wanting to go into the West Plains, you could include Reardon and Davenport as well as kind of the more major towns that are out there. But the people that tend to live out this way oftentimes have a reason for it, whether it's don't want to be in the city but need an affordable property. The prices are generally a little bit more affordable out here. But Cheney, many people that are working at Eastern Washington University, Airway Heights, they're working at Fairchild Air Force Base or the casino, something like that. And then Medical Lake, it could be any reason from working at the mental health hospital out there to just wanting a property that's kind of cool and on the water there because it's just a quiet little lake. So a handful of different amenities out there, but I find that any clients that are moving out there, besides the fact that it's just close to their job and they don't want to be living in downtown Spokane with a 30-minute commute or so to work, these people just want a smaller town feel. They don't, especially in Cheney and Medical Lake itself, not a ton of amenities, but you're just basics: grocery store, bar, gas station, post office, that kind of stuff. And the Airway Heights has a little bit more amenities just because that's where the casino's at, and Fairchild Air Force Base, close to the airport, all that kind of stuff. But these are not necessarily you're going to find like the most amazing restaurants in Spokane or the best things to do in the area. Those are generally going to be in Spokane itself, but you're not far away if there's anything particular you want to go look at. So heading over to my website, I actually drew a little map similar to the one that was on the Google My Maps just now. And what we can do is actually look at some market trends for that area. This is actually kind of funny and just kind of weird timing. But so the average sold price out there was $675,000, but you can see how much higher this peak is than any of this other faded blue. The kind of hills in the background there, that's the average price. Then the bars are the number of homes sold in that given month. So you can see that we've seen over the last year quite a downward trajectory in the number of homes sold in that area, a lot less buyer activity. So I would say that this number is a little bit skewed. I would, on a normal month, give you probably 450 to 475 for the entire area, because you are mixing in some larger rural properties with a lot of the new construction that exists in this area. So again, this is a good property This is a good location for more affordable new construction around here, what I call New Cheney, right off of I-90, and then there's a handful of new construction areas in Airway Heights as well. So yeah, that's the West Plains of Spokane. I would say probably mid 400,000s is the rough price that you're going to be looking for. Good for rural property or new construction, and then more convenient for people that are actually working out in the West Plains. We've had a big growth in the logistics fields as well, with big manufacturers and warehouses coming in and filling up some of the commercial land that is available there as well. So moving along, we're actually going to stick to rural property just a little bit so we get a better idea of what's going on north of Spokane. So this is not technically in Spokane, the city itself, but this is the rural properties that I've shown clients in the past. Done a lot of work up in Deer Park. The Green Bluff area is great for really cool properties. I mean, if you're visiting Spokane, you got to make sure you're stopping by Green Bluff. But Chattaroy, Elk, have shown properties in all these places. So if you're looking for somewhere that is 5 acres, 20 acres, and looking for some property on that large of land, then this is mostly where you're going to look, especially if you want trees on that land. The West Plains is very flat, and it's a plain for a reason. There's not a lot of trees going out there. So if you want some more treed land, this is the area that you're going to be looking in. Deer Park is actually quite a growing little town. It's grown quite a lot. There's estimated to build another like 400 new construction homes out there. So Deer Park is going to explode in the future. I think if you're looking for a very long-term investment, buying land right outside of the city limits would be a great one, because builders are going to be eating it up here in the next decade or so. But there's all sorts of housing here in the area. Colbert's another little town with a lot of, let's say, $500,000 to $800,000 homes, and there's just little pockets of housing all along Highway 395 and Highway 2 here. But again, it just kind of gets you away from the hustle and bustle of downtown Spokane. But there's plenty of communities up there. It's not just people looking for rural living. So jumping over to my website here, we're taking a look at the market data for that neighborhood, or not even neighborhood, but just section of Spokane County. 33 sold listings in the last month, about $457,000 average sales price. So you're going to have a big mix. This is going to be a wide range. Like you will have some pretty affordable properties in that location, but some very expensive ones as well. So like I said, based on what your needs are and what you're hoping for, reach out to me, because then I can really tell you if it's reasonable to be looking in that area, or maybe a smaller pocket or location that you should be focusing on. But yeah, as you can see, prices have kind of trajected down with the market and have bottomed out in January, back up in February. This is very much the same curve that the overall market has seen. But like I said, again, we're seeing much less sales going on. These are the winter months, and that is seasonal. But across the market, we're seeing these numbers beyond just the seasonal average and actually below seasonal averages. So it's really common in Colbert and Mead. We're going to look at Mead in another second, actually, but this one got stuck in there to just kind of have these like 4-bed, 3-bath, 5-bed, 3-bath homes that were built in the early 2000s, 2010 maybe, a lot of that. But then there's like Schaus homes or the shop houses. Those are going to be more common up there. And then you're just going to have a whole bunch of land. Active listings right now, all of these land options, 30 acres, 10 acres, 10 acres. That's really what you're going to be seeing out there. Most of these places actually won't be below 10 acres because there's actually a limitation on how small these properties can be subdivided. But yeah, so that location really is going to be for all sorts of price ranges. I mean, I wouldn't get much more below 400 if I were you to be looking in this area. And then especially if you want land, 400 would be the absolute bottom. That's not going to be necessarily a nice home if it's going to be on land. So now let's look at Spokane proper, the city limits itself. We kind of have 3 quadrants here. We have the South Hill, we have Northwest Spokane, and Northeast Spokane. And so I have one client right now that said, well, this house says it's in the South Hill neighborhood, but it actually looks like it's closer to Comstock. Well, I was like, well, you're correct on both of those, that the South Hill is just kind of this island right here, its whole thing. And then there's little pockets in between. There's the Cliff Cannon neighborhood, There's the Manitou Park section. There's Rockwood, Lincoln Heights, Moran Prairie. It's subdivided even more. And so again, if you want more details on any specific part, then please reach out. But focusing on the South Hill right now, this is like one of the more historical neighborhoods in Spokane. So you have this whole pocket right here, Manitou, Cliff Cannon, and into the Rockwood neighborhood, which is over here, where you have some of the oldest homes that have been very well maintained here in Spokane. They're beautiful. They are the craftsman style, Victorian style homes that Spokane is really known for. And so if you're somebody that loves the charm of vintage style, anything like that, then this is a great location for you. You just have to be okay with living in an older home. I think every home has its problems. You're just going to have some different problems than somebody that has a new construction home. But people love the community of the South Hill. It's very walkable. You have some of the best and largest parks in Spokane on the South Hill, some great small businesses in the Perry district, and then off of Comstock as well. Like you have the original Scoop up there. And then prices tend to go up once you get past the Manitou Golf Course, which is right here. And so you're coming across a restaurant called Luna. Once you get past like 59th here, many of these homes are 6, 7, 800,000 on the low end and over $1 million on the high end, especially if they have a view over High Drive, the cliff right there. And then you have some more affordable properties over in the Lincoln Heights. And then before you get to Glenrose, there's many houses that are in the mid 300s to mid 400s in this area. Less walkable. You can see not many businesses popping up right here. It's very much just residential. And I wouldn't say nothing super exciting or interesting about it, but it's just a good quality neighborhood. So taking a look quickly at my website, the average price for a South Hill home right now is about $435,000, which is actually down just significantly. The South Hill blew up over the pandemic, and prices skyrocketed, as you can see, 617 in some months. And I said for the West Plains, I thought that was an odd month for it to be over the 600,000s. This was completely normal for that time. 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes still to this day selling for, and I'm not talking, and small, like 1,600, 1,700 square feet, 1940, 50 built homes that were going for 500,000, 450 maybe. And so it was very competitive on the South Hill, and now the prices have come down quite a bit. Activity has slowed down quite a bit, and so it is I would say, a better time to get into that market now, but I think it still has a little bit of cooling off to do from how active it got during the pandemic. Now, Northwest and Northeast Spokane, you're going to find that, again, very large sectors of Spokane that I've picked. You have some of the most low-income, lowest housing prices in all of Spokane to some actually pretty expensive areas, and so that could go and that kind of works its way up. The further you get away from downtown, the more the prices go up on both of these. And so like on the west side, the northwest side, you have neighborhoods like West Central, Emerson Garfield, Audubon, Indian Trail is right in here, and then you have 5 Mile up here. And in the order that I just put those, they just stack right on top of each other on the level of the home prices and stuff like that. West Central is a little bit more of a multifamily rental neighborhood, and then there tends to be a little bit more first-time home buyer activity over here. Maybe some move-up buyers in the Indian Trail and 5 Mile neighborhood as well. Overall, I think Northwest Spokane has some great amenities. I think it's really cool how close you are to this cliff right here along the Aubrey L. White Parkway. It's similar views, and this even leaks into some spots on Indian Trail and up on High Drive. You have some of the best views of the Spokane sunset, which people literally pay $2 to $3 million to do that right here on High Drive. You get the exact same view up here for a fraction of the price. So I think that's something to think about. You can actually live on this cliff right here for like $400,000. And so you can have an amazing view every single night that people spend millions of dollars for, and you just aren't going to have the mansion that they have, but you get the views. And so I think that's the cool part about it. But in that neighborhood, you have quick access to Downriver Golf Course, Riverside State Park, Bowl and Pitcher. I just think there's actually some really cool and easy access to some hiking trails up here close to St. George's. You're on the Little Spokane River. So this is actually, I think, a really nice part of Spokane to be living in. So again, this one ended up being a little bit more of an anomaly. Average sales price is 602 here, but that would just show that more houses sold up in 5 Mile in Indian Trail than they did down here in Audubon and Emerson Garfield, all that kind of stuff. We're talking 350,000 or probably around 400,000 here, mid 300s to low 300s here, and then 5 to 6 to $1 million plus as we get further away from downtown, like I said. So when you take the whole image of the picture, depending on how many homes sold in what neighborhood is really going to affect the price and draw it one way or the other. So I'm sure just a really expensive home sold over the last month that kind of skewed those numbers for us. Northeast Spokane's a little bit more of the same stuff as Northwest Spokane, just kind of a different flavor. You probably have some of the most affordable neighborhoods here in this area, Chief Gary, Logan neighborhood, being a couple. Nevada Littlewood is a little bit a step above. A lot of split entry homes in the mid 300s to $400,000 range. But then we take this up to Meade, which Old Meade itself is actually a fairly affordable place. But the Meade School District as a whole, which is a lot of this section, I could have highlighted a little bit more here, up into Wandermere, all that kind of stuff. These can be houses anywhere from 500 to 800, 900,000, just depending on the property. So yeah, it really depends on what specifically are you looking for. Are you somebody that is going to be working or at Gonzaga University? Well, this is the neighborhood for that because Gonzaga University is just down here. But there's actually some really cool small businesses tucked away throughout here. Market Street Pizza, some of the best pizza in all of Spokane. No Lie Brew House is an amazing brewery. There's some great restaurants along Hamilton here. And so I think this neighborhood, as one of the most affordable, has a lot of cool local amenities in the neighborhood itself. And so quickly checking out the home prices and activity there at $344,000. So that's far below anything we've been looking at so far. Prices have stayed relatively steady in this area. It's a good investment place as well. Prices do tend to stay. They're not going to escalate as much as they did on the South Hill. They'll stay pretty consistent over time. And there is just a lot of rental properties in the neighborhood. I believe the statistic is about 50% of homes in the Logan neighborhood specifically are rental properties. So it's a good neighborhood for those looking for a rental property as well, because there's a lot of demand in the area. And now touching on our last two, we have the Spokane Valley and Liberty Lake. So Spokane Valley is broken up into 3 parts. There's the section below I-90 here, which is called Central Valley. It's not South Valley, it's Central Valley. East Valley is Millwood. There's another little housing development. It's not even little, it's pretty big, called Northwood, and that's this area up here. And then East Valley is this section east of Pines and includes Otis Orchards as well. And so really I could have broken these up into 3 different spots because they're all very different locations. Just didn't want to make this video too long. But south of I-90 is very much residential properties of varying degrees. There's things tend to be more expensive in the Spokane Valley than Spokane. And then something to consider is that the Spokane Valley is its own city. It's its own, has its own mayor, its own city council, its own different utility companies. Everything is completely separate from Spokane, Washington. Spokane Valley has a lot of its own unique aspects. It has its own feel and just varying neighborhoods, all that kind of stuff. The thing to think about is that Spokane Valley, especially Central, was built up in the mid 1970s to 1990s pretty rapidly. And so there's pretty heavy residential. There's some really cool stuff going on below 32nd. I just sold a home there, 10 treat acres, about $875. But there's some good deals going on because that house probably would have been $1 million last year. And then there's some really cool tons of new construction actually, all in here, 32nd, Barker, and all of this zone. There's tons of new construction going on. Some more high end as well, 700,000 to 900,000, a little over $1 million on some spots, much more custom design stuff. So if you're in that price range, if that sounds like you, there's some good stuff to be looking at down there. Millwood's a little bit more of a starter neighborhood, mid 300,000s, goes down into the Feltzfield area. Great biscuits and gravy at the Skyway Cafe, so definitely check that out. And then as it heads up into East Valley, Otis Orchards, much more industrial along Trent here. There's a couple pockets. There's a good neighborhood called Trentwood around here. and I have a client that lives there, and that's just a good spot if you actually are working in Rathdrum or Haydn, Idaho. Then but you want to live in Washington for whatever reason, then I think this is a good neighborhood where your commute time is not going to be too bad. My client there, she's actually a nurse at the Spokane Valley Hospital. And so this makes it easy to jump on Barker and get down there. So overall, prices in the Valley currently average 543. There are 86 sold listings, 91 days average on market. It has a little bit of a spike over the last month, but we're seeing this in some neighborhoods depending on what's available. There's so few homes for sale that we're getting multiple offers. Maybe the only homes for sale are some expensive ones. It just changes a lot. And so obviously this is against the curve of where home prices are for the rest of the market. But the Spokane Valley saw quite a bit of price increase in the last couple months. And then to wrap up, we have the last little section, Liberty Lake. Liberty Lake is its own town as well. It has its own mayor, and they do a lot of things very differently than the rest of Spokane. It's a great community, has 3 golf courses, a lake that is surrounded by beautiful, like $5 million properties, very expensive. And so depending on what you're looking for, you can get some rare property there, but you might be waiting a long time. They don't come available too often. If you're visiting Spokane, Zephyr Lodge is a great spot to stay on the lake. And then you just have access to some amazing hiking campgrounds as well in the Liberty Lake Regional Park. People think that Liberty Lake is super expensive and not affordable to live, and there are some spots that have some of the most expensive homes in all of Spokane, but like Legacy Ridge, obviously right along the lake, and then there's some just beautiful rural properties in and around here as well. But there's some more affordable spots as well. Some of these neighborhoods, actually in the secondary locations off of Liberty Lake back in here, it's really not too expensive. And then there's a handful of new construction going on up here by Lennar, a newer builder in Spokane, but not a newer builder across the country. There's a handful of condominiums that are relatively affordable, but you can actually live in Morningside Heights outside of Green Acres for anywhere from like 5 to 700,000. So it's not necessarily cheap, but it's not actually crazy expensive. And so you'll actually see that as we pull up the market snapshot, it's only $497. It's actually cheaper than the Spokane Valley as a whole. But some beautiful properties. There's one currently active for $1.8 million. But like I said, you have those condos, 2-bed, 2-bath condo going for $400,000. There is a mobile home park on the water there. Oh, I think this is actually vacant land, but there is a mobile home park on the water there. So if that's your thing, you could actually buy a property on the lake for like $100,000. And so there's just a handful of options out there for different lifestyles, which I think is really cool. So wrapping up this entire video, that's just gives you the basic sections of Spokane, a little bit of each one, and hopefully will help you make a decision or focus in your search so that it doesn't become as overwhelming. That's the biggest thing about a home search is if you're too broad, you have too many options, it can become very exhausting. So if you can narrow it down to a location, price point, type of home you're looking for, the fewer the homes in your search, actually the better, because you're not going to experience any buyer fatigue while you're out there searching. If you look at too many homes, they all start to blur together and nothing feels special anymore. So you won't get that warm, fuzzy feeling when you walk into your forever home. So I hope this video was helpful. Like I said, if you are buying or selling or investing in the Spokane market, hit me up at the Calendly link down below. Schedule a meeting directly on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. And if you're here in the area, let's just grab a cup of coffee and meet up in person. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.